Hey everyone, I hope you're doing okay today. It is mighty hot here where I am, and I'm definitely not complaining. I spend as much time outdoors as I can, being a Canadian that's used to the cold. So I wanted to talk today about the full moon. And that might sound a little bit weird, but I'll explain why I wanted to film about this topic in a moment. So I haven't said this for quite a long time, but I am doing coaching again Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays from 12 to 5 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you're interested in chatting, I will put the link to my booking calendar in the description. And so moving on to the topic of this. So back when I was really heavily into my withdrawal and the windows and waves pattern, I had several buddies, several healing buddies, several people in the community that I connected with and built a trust with that I felt like over time got to know me quite well, and vice versa. And it can be really helpful to have a third perspective or someone outside of yourself's perspective on how you're doing or what they might be noticing that you maybe don't notice. Now, I know that some of the forums, like particularly Surviving Antidepressants, they will talk a lot about tracking your symptoms, and their admins require quite a detailed level of tracking symptoms. And this might be something that is helpful for you. For myself personally, and for others that I've talked to, it can become an obsession, and it can become to where you're trying constantly to figure out what went wrong, what caused this wave, why am I feeling set back, and your brain is making associations maybe with what you've written down that might not even be contributing to how you're feeling at all. And so it can create more fear, just lower your quality of life. So I generally say that it's better to make videos of yourself every once in a while. Maybe sometimes when you're feeling poorly and you just need to offload, and maybe you don't have anybody to talk to, or even when you're feeling better and you want or need some type of record showing yourself that you're capable of feeling better, and sort of giving yourself a pep talk that you can then play back to yourself when you're feeling really poorly. So my point of this is, when I built these trusting relationships in my withdrawal, one person in particular who had such an eye for detail and was very intuitive and just knew me really well. And I still talk to him to this day. If you know who you are, hi. And he said to me once, he said, Melissa, he says, I've noticed a pattern with you, and you seem to get really bad every month around the full moon. And I said, no way, that's not a thing. And he said, seriously, I've been really noticing this pattern, and you should maybe be mindful of it. And sure enough, he was right. Every month leading up to the full moon, I would say a couple of days before and the day of, maybe a day after, it depended. But right around that time, within a day or two, I was more symptomatic than usual. And when I took the tinnitus course, which I've talked about so many times on this channel, it's something that I found very helpful for myself. And I'm not affiliated with it at all, but I just chat about it as, if that's something you're really struggling with, you might want to explore it. But he talks about how spikes or flares in tinnitus alone during full moon is a very common thing. And in his mind, it has to do with parasites. Whether or not that's the truth or the case for everyone, I don't know. But it was a real phenomenon that he noticed in his clients and actually put into his book. And for myself, now that I've been coaching for about a year, I have noticed an influx of messages from clients right around the full moon. And it's not just, the odd one here and there. It's like an influx of messages and people really struggling and in a bad way. And I don't know exactly why this happens, but it's happened so often now that I don't think it's a coincidence anymore. It happened with myself, and it's happening with others that I talk to. And again, I don't know why this is, but it's something maybe to be mindful of. Now, I'm a real big advocate of not always trying to latch on to what is causing this flare. If you're always scrutinizing in such detail what went wrong, why am I going through this, why am I in a setback, why am I in a wave, whatever, and you can't really tie it to anything, just really quickly, then your brain is in a fear state, is going to be latching on to things. And I think there can be a danger in that when you start looking at benign things as dangerous, and then your world shrinks down. And as always, I don't deny that, people do have real food reactions and food sensitivities. I do. I mean, I'm a celiac. But I think when we're always trying to latch on to what caused this wave, what caused this symptom, it can be detrimental. But overarchingly, I do notice that full moon, for a large amount of people, tends to cause flares. And just like everything else, of course, this doesn't apply to everybody all the time, but just maybe be mindful of, like, today is the full moon, and if you're noticing a spike in symptoms, this could be why. And I had to mention that because, again, it comes up a lot in conversations with people, and there are certain people that I coach on a regular basis, and sure enough, as soon as full moon is approaching, I get a message from them. I don't know what's happening, Melissa, and I'll say to them what my friend said to me that got to know me in my own withdrawal, that, hey, it could be this causing symptoms. And actually, that friend of mine had the same pattern himself. So it's just interesting and something to ponder. So let me know if it affects you, if you've ever noticed any correlation, or maybe in the future. And it's not something, again, try not to be afraid of it, but just maybe be mindful of it, because it can sometimes help you to process it. If it's something that is, again, we want to look for consistencies. If it's a one-off thing and your brain is attaching to the last thing you ate, even though that's not a consistent pattern for you, you're looking for patterns, more so than one-off times. But it's just something to be mindful of, not afraid of. And over time, this will get better and better and better. But if you can say, oh, it's full moon, so it kind of makes it make a little more sense in your head when your brain is not making any sense at all. So yeah, let me know if this is something you've ever noticed, or moving forward, if you notice in the future, because it helped me to frame it a little bit differently when it did happen. And I would, reference the calendar, because I stopped doing the daily, obsessive tracking, and was like, oh yeah, okay, maybe this is from the full moon. And it just helped me to rationalize it a little bit more. And especially if I heard that other people were experiencing the same thing, it helped to, again, reframe it and make me feel like, okay, this is consistent with what other people are experiencing, and it brought a certain level of comfort. So again, give me your feedback in the comments. Let me know if you've ever noticed this, and if you're noticing a spike today, maybe today and yesterday, but again, watch for patterns moving forward if it happens consistently. So I hope you guys are doing okay, and I'll see you next time. Bye.